Hello, my name is Xavier Mercado, and this is Spearhead Conversations. Today, I'm joined by special guest Corey Pieper.
Yeah.
With over 200,000 followers, about 5 million views across platforms, subscribers that go out the roof. This man has been putting Milwaukee on his back. He's Hawaiian. He's about force. No, a great man. I admire his drive, his ambition, and, you know, it's been great watching his success take off. I reached out. It's been a long time coming, but here we are. So without further ado, how you doing, Corey?
Yes, sir.
Hey, dog.
Bro, you got to literally have like the best intros, bro. I've watched all your episodes, and every time it's like, damn, who is this person? I can't wait to see this.
Dude, I love it, man. You know, hey, but I'm honest about that. You know, I've been watching your success. I mean, to be honest with you, in the beginning, like, I don't know, you were with some type of church management.
Good Fight Studios.
Yeah, and you did a performance at the Miramar.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I tried R&B. That was a short stint.
Oh, you performed too?
I performed right.
Oh, nice.
Right before you went. No, yeah, right before you went on. They had the whole banner.
Yeah, the C Pipes banner.
The C Pipes.
All my guys are in suits, like hella over the top. But
yeah,
it looked fire. Yeah.
But it's been amazing watching where your success is taking you. I mean, you're working alongside some of the biggest names in the industry. You're managed by former guest Philly Flyboy.
Philly Flyboy.
Hey, let's do this for him, bro.
I knew it. Shout out Philly.
But with all that being said, you know, I appreciate you stepping onto the platform and
I appreciate you having
making
me.
time. So let's dive in.
Let's get it.
So where were you born?
I was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Born and raised here my whole life.
Gotcha.
But like we were talking before too, you know, I'm Hawaiian, so I got a lot of family in the islands, and that's always been a big part of, you know, who I am. And yeah, so I get out to the islands often, see my family, my aunties, my grandmas, my grandpas.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I'm always here in the city. It's funny because people like don't always realize that I live in Milwaukee. They're like, "Where are you at, bro? LA, Hawaii?" I'm like, "Bro, I live in Milwaukee."
Milwaukee all
Yes,
day.
sir.
And I've seen the pictures online, social media, and you know what I mean? That's a big family.
Yeah, definitely.
A
lot of them were just here, actually. We had my grandfather's 80th birthday party, and a lot of them flew in from Hawaii, and we took a picture with literally, there's like 40 or 50 of us, and that's just like a fraction of the people in my family. So yeah, it was nice to see everybody though up here.
Let's do this for your grandpa, bro.
Yeah.
He's making it.
Shout out my grandpa. What's crazy too is actually, so he's an entertainer, and that's kind of, you know, I've definitely picked up some things from him and who he is. You know, he ran karaoke for 20, 30 years, but I mean, it's not just like running karaoke. He puts on a show and he sings, you know, authentic Hawaiian music. And I actually just helped him audition for America's Got Talent.
Wow.
Yeah. he called me and he's like, "Grandson, I want to do this for me. I need your help." So we took a video of him singing, submitted that, and then also did the virtual auditions where they have a producer on screen with you, like a Zoom call. And he sang for that. So I mean, he's pretty excited. I think they're gonna like what they heard. So we'll find out at the top of the year.
Look at that, generations coming together.
Yes, sir.
How was your childhood?
My childhood was good. You know, I played a lot of sports. I tried a lot of things as a kid. You know, I was playing basketball, I was playing football, golf, volleyball even. I was a skateboarder for a little phase of my life. I was at Four Seasons like all the time. You know, but I had a generally, you know, really good childhood. I had parents that loved me, you know, and, you know, middle class family.
Yeah.
I grew up in West Dallas. I went to West Dallas Nathan Hale.
Ooh,
Yeah.
look at Hale out of the house.
So yeah, it was a good childhood.
Man, you know, and that's crazy because I went to South Hawaii. What year you graduated?
08.
Okay, I graduated 07.
Oh yeah, so right.
Yeah, it was right around the same area. But my senior year, I never knew Nathan Hale or Central existed in my life.
Yeah.
And that year, for some reason, I started talking to a chick. That's another story. But Yeah, definitely. I ain't gonna lie, that's a wild school, dog.
Yeah. I mean, I heard it's gotten wilder. But you know, I always still get love from my teachers back at Hale. They, you know, they follow me on my pages and see what I'm doing, and they're always showing a lot of love and support. So
that's awesome. Yeah. You know, with childhood, you know, what's your earliest memory of finding a love for music?
So I would say probably 8th grade. I was in middle school last year in middle school, and my cousins went to Franklin, and they had brought me to like a little kid party over there, a bunch of middle schoolers. And I remember I had written this rap. It was some super whack. Like it was called like the Gingerbread Man or something. And I was at this little kid party with them, and you know, my cousin Brock had told people like, yeah, my cousin can rap. And I'm like, bro, don't even say that. Don't even do it. And everybody started like chiming in like, yeah, rap for us, rap for us. They started throwing dollar bills in the middle of the room like, bro, just do it. And I remember I literally spit this rap for them, and everybody was like, dang, your cousin's cold, bro. And I was kind of like, okay, this is kind of cool. Like I never envisioned myself as a rapper growing up. Like, you know, I never thought I would be a artist, a singer, or songwriter, or any of that. And that was kind of like the moment. And then I went through high school, and, you know, I did some music in high school. That's actually where I met DJ Cell. Shout out to DJ Cell.
Shout out to my boy.
Hey. And, you know, he had recorded my first mixtape, and I remember because they had like a movement going on too. You know,
what were they called? Man,
Fatso ENT.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yep. And I remember, you know, he had this little studio built at his house, kind of in the neighborhood from where the school was. So, you know, he had let me come over there once and record, and, you know, our energy together was just great. Like, you know how sometimes, like, you work with people and it's just, like, not a good fit for whatever reason. And, like, me and him just fed off of each other, and the energy was so dope. And I remember, like, when school would get out, I'd be at his house before he was at his house. And I'm, like, knocking on the door, like, just dying to record or come, you know, try something out. And, yeah, he helped me do my first mixtape. So high school was dope. People start, you know, word of mouth. I started going to different little, you know, gatherings and house parties and things like that, and people would find out that I was doing music. And then it was really when I got to college, I would say freshman year in college, I went to UW Milwaukee for 2 years. And I had met this guy, that's the people you're talking about, Aaron Lucas, shout out to him. He played a big role early on in my career. And I had seen him in the gym, and one of my buddies was like, hey, he owns, you know, a record label, like a big studio. And so, no lie, in the middle of the gym, like, he's over here bench pressing, right? Like, and I walk up to him with my headphones, like, hey, bro, you want to listen to this song that I cut? Like, I heard you do music, and I heard you got a studio. I'd love for you to check this out. And, like, in the middle of his reps, he was like, all right, let me see what you got. I had no shame. I'm just like, hey, bro, I know you're working out, but hey, check this out real quick.
Check this out.
And he listened to it, and, you know, he loved what he heard. So he had invited me out to the studio, and we cut a song called I Can Take You. And that went on to, like, I won, like, second place in Kiss Idol, I think it was called at the time. And, you know, so that kind of just, like, it was just like things started kind of falling into place, and then
music just blew into something that you became passionate with.
It was like a snowball that just kept growing and growing, and then I was like, all right, maybe I shouldn't ignore this. Like, maybe I should really take it seriously and do it for real. And that's when I had went out to Hawaii with Philly and shot my first music video.
Before we get too far ahead, you know what I mean? Let's retract. But you know, with all this passion, you know, coming out, it's natural to you, but to others that would be overwhelming.
Overwhelming, yeah.
And with that, you know, finding this passion, who were musical influences of yours?
I would say, you know, being Hawaiian, I was listening to a lot of guys from the islands like J Boog and Common Kings and Fiji and Rebel Soldiers and, you know, people like that. But, you know, my mom, she would play a little bit of rap music in the house. My mom's a young mom, and she was listening to like Beastie Boys and Kid Rock and like Limp Bizkit and, you know, things like that. So it was kind of like I had this island side of me that was like reggae melodies, and then there was like this like punk rock rap almost, you know, and that kind of just, you know, played a part into, you know, me molding my own sound.
Well, through these years of, you know, finding more and more passion, what were some of the aliases you went through? Or was it always...
No, I went by C Pipes.
C Pipes.
Well, the first group I was in, we had a group called Uniqueness. Uniqueness with a capital Q. I was like, yeah, we're going to be different and we're going to spell it different.
Yeah.
And I mean, it worked at the time. We sold hella shirts at the high school and I mean, people loved it. Then I went by C Pipes, and then I had met Aaron Biebert, actually.
Shout out to Aaron Biebert. I got to do it.
And I had linked up with him, and he's played a big role in my music career as well.
Mine as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he was the one that kind of was like, hey, bro, C Pipes, like, just go by your real name, like Corey Pieper. Like, people are going to respect that a lot more. And I think, too, like, C Pipes didn't really give you a good impression of who I am and the kind of music that I did, you know. So I think Corey Pieper, and I fought him for a while until I'm like, no, I'm C Pipes.
You want to hear some?
C Pipes,
because this is very similar to what you're doing right now.
A branding thing from Aaron.
Well, he helped me with the whole rebrand, and he pushed me away from. It was originally just Spearhead Conversations, one big, two long words, you know.
Yeah.
And it took some. You know, I just trusted his, you know, his advice, and I've always looked up to him with the production and everything. He knows this, so it kind of.
And he's good at guiding people, you know, giving guidance. And,
yeah, man. The good family, him, Jenny, the kids.
Yeah, they're tall as hell now.
No, they taller than me, man.
I remember when they were little kids, and then I seen them at Show Me Milwaukee, the premiere. Yeah, shout out to Biebs too, the show that he's got with Jay. They're going crazy right now on the very local. Make sure you go check it out. But I seen his kids at the premiere, and I was like, they were like towering over me. I'm like, dang.
Yeah. It's been crazy this past year because interviewing all them. I saw you at the finale of Show Me Milwaukee. And it's a different world, man. You know, you see all these creatives, you see all these entertainers, and to be respected among them, I think it's a different type of feel.
Well, you've been killing it, bro. You've been going crazy. I've been following you too, and like just seeing you ramp up, like we were talking about earlier too, with just the branding and the production and the cameras and the lights. I mean, all that plays a role, and like just your consistency too.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, like every other day, I'm seeing a new interview that you did. And I'm like, damn, he's working. So that's why
it's full time, bro.
Yeah, so that's why when you hit me, I'm like, absolutely, I'm down. Let's do it.
You know, now music. You would say college is where you really took it serious.
Yeah. When I started working with Philly and shot my first visual.
How did you meet Philly? Cause man,
so when I was living in the dorms, one of my buddies I needed a photo shoot done, and this was also in the MySpace time, you know, like when that was the big platform, and you know, so I needed a photo shoot done, and I needed like, you know, a lot of artists were starting to have like these dope banners and like backgrounds and things. And so he did all that, photo shoots, graphics, and so my buddy introduced me to him. And he came over, we did a photo shoot, knocked it out, like got along really well. And that's when I had went back to my, you know, those guys, The Good Fight. And I was like, hey, I think we should have Philly shoot, you know, the first music video. The song was called Show You the World, and I wanted to shoot it in Hawaii. So they were like, all right, let's do it. They sent me and Philly together, just us two, to Hawaii for like a week. Yeah. And that was when I really kind of became Corey Pieper and known in the city. And you know, one of the dopest things about Milwaukee and the city is that they, you know, I was a little worried at first, you know, going and doing this Hawaiian island music and then coming back to Milwaukee to promote that. You know, I didn't know how they were going to take it, you know, like, because there was nobody else doing Hawaiian island music here in the city, you know, like that's
another thing I was going to ask you. How would you describe the music you actually create?
Pop, top 40, little bit of rap in there. And so I wasn't really sure, like, you know, how they were going to take it. And Milwaukee's always shown love to me for just being who I am. Like, you know, like they allowed me to be, you know, share my Hawaiian culture here, and they embraced me for it. That was actually, I think, one of the reasons why I did start getting recognition in the city, because I was true to who I am, and I was blending these two different lives that I had, that I was a part of. And, you know, it's been up since then.
You know, it is unique because, I mean, one, who's another Hawaiian artist out here in Milwaukee? But, you know, I've seen, like, man, what was his, Ray Nitty.
Yeah, shout out to Ray Nitty. I got some songs with him too.
You know, I talked to him for a little bit, but there was somebody else in the city that you collaborated with, and GA is in the starting of this video.
B Justice?
No,
I did Up to Par with Denny Lanes and B Scott. I'm trying to think who else. Talking about Got It Next with Lil Saucy.
No, in the beginning of your we gonna have a
Sincere.
Yeah,
yep.
You know, one of the first videos I ever saw from you was
Good Time. Yeah.
And hey man, I bumped that track.
I appreciate
lie
it.
to you. But
that was a dope video, and just how that whole project came together. And I remember they had actually hit me about doing that feature, and it had a different beat the first time that they sent it to me. And for whatever reason, I couldn't write anything, or I wasn't connecting with it. And I remember I actually put that feature off for like 9 months. Like I didn't.
Oh, wow.
And then they had revamped it. Mammoth made a new beat, and it just sounded like an anthem, like just the production and how big it was. And I was like, yep, I'm going to the studio right now. I sent that record back so fast, and then, you know, they put all the pieces together, and we did an epic music video for it, and, you know, a lot of promotions behind that, and yeah, it did well.
Would you consider, what would you consider your first break as an artist?
My first break? I would say, well, I mean, I've worked with a lot of dope artists like Sammy and Kirk O'Bangs, and, you know, Darnell Robinson, and Sean Kingston, Trap Beckham, Cap G. I mean, I've worked with a lot of people. Yeah. So I don't know if there was ever really a moment where it was like the big break that just all of a sudden put me on. I think it was just a slow, steady climb of just
consistency.
Yeah, I mean, I know people always say that, and it sounds cliche, but it really is the truth. Like, I tell people this all the time, like, I'm not the best rapper by far, and I'm not the best singer by far, but like every day I wake up and I'm doing something to further the business or better myself. And I think after a while, it's hard for people to not see that, you know, and then it just makes people more likely to want to help and find ways to collaborate with you and be creative with you. And
Oh, I feel that. Because really with this too, with the platform, it's like, you know, I'm 2 months ahead.
Yeah.
At all times.
Yeah.
I don't play. Like, and, you know, for the most part, it's just, there's so many stories in the city.
Yeah.
Yours being one of them.
Many.
You know, so many stories. And
people have been through some crazy shit.
Crazy, man. And just if you tap into what's going on, but that consistency with that, following these stories and then being consistent with it, it just opens up doors of networking, collaboration.
And I tell people this all the time too. Like, I think a lot of people have this idea that like once you're on, like you're good. And like, I don't think they realize like you're never just on. Like, it's a constant struggle and grind to keep the momentum. Like, cause momentum is like, you know, that's like consistency too. Like the second you take your foot off the gas, it's hard to bring it back up.
Climb.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, so it's like, and everything's got to align. Like being an artist is tough. Like I watched this thing that Akon said the other day. I think it was Akon, and he's talking about how like the artist is usually the last person to get paid.
Yeah.
And it's like, I had to sit and think about it. I'm like, damn, that's messed up, right?
Yeah.
Like you think about it, like not all the times, but most of the time, right? Like the engineer's getting paid. The studio's getting paid, the producers, you know, you got to buy the beat, so the producer's getting paid. Then you got to have it mastered. He's getting paid. You got to have, a graphic designer make, you know, the graphic, the single art, so they're getting paid. You got to pay the music video director. You got to, it's like all these people get paid.
Yeah.
And then like maybe the artist will get paid down the line, you know, from the streams, which we know don't amount to much. Like you got to be doing a lot of streams to really make good money off of that. Like, so it's tough, man. It's a constant grind. And I tell people too, like, you gotta really love this shit. Like, if you don't love this, you're not gonna last, unfortunately. Like, if a couple no's to you discourages you and you're like, oh man, I don't want to do it, like, you probably shouldn't. Yeah. I mean, because you gotta be able to just take everything and just keep moving forward. I mean, it's tough.
Man, I believe that. Amen to that. Well, you know, along this journey, performances are a big deal. And you've collaborated with many big names on stage, and you've named some of them earlier in the interview, but you've performed in over crowds that are over 17,000.
Yeah. Bucks halftime show.
Bucks halftime. You'll be back. I know that. But, you know, do you remember your first show and the emotions that went through when you first performed?
I remember a show. I already know Philly's gonna be like, oh, not this story again. I did a show when I was in high school. It was just like a battle of the bands, and there was this other group that was, you know, also made music in the school, and there was kind of like this friendly rivalry between us. And I remember we had did this, you know, battle of the bands show and just crushed it. Like, I'm talking, just killed it. And at the end, like, everybody was on their feet clapping and screaming, and I was just like, oh damn, like this is real. Like, and I think, you know, ever since then, you know, performing at the Miramar, performing at the Rave, doing Summerfest. By the way, Summerfest has been some of the best times in my life. Like, those performances, there's nothing like performing at the world's largest music festival in your hometown. In your hometown.
I think that's the flex right there.
Literally, like, because I'm saying it'd be cool, like, you know, you go somewhere else and do the world's, but in your hometown, like where your family can see it, and your peers and the people that have been watching your grind can actually come and see you in front of like 5, 6, 7,000, like just rocking the
lakefront,
show.
Outside,
fireworks going off.
Dude.
You know, it's like a movie, seriously. And those have been some of the best shows that I've ever had in my life.
Man, I will say this, man. It's impressive. You know, when you look at your resume, you
appreciate it.
Right now, you're managed by Philly.
Yeah.
Would you say?
I mean, I would say Philly's more like just the big brother that I never had. That, you know, I always get his opinion. He guides me the best he can, and you know, I value his opinion. Obviously, like we were talking about before too. Like, he's done so much in the industry, and sometimes can see things from outside perspectives. Like I've always learned that you have to be careful who you ask opinions from, because if they're not in the industry that you're in, they might not understand it, or they might see it different. And he's one of the most successful people I know in my industry, you know, been around this and can kind of guide me and give me advice. So, you know, but he does my videos. We're shooting movies together.
Well, that's what I'm kind of gonna get to. You edit music videos. You direct movies together. You've even featured in films. One that recently came out. What has that experience been like for you? Because, like, I mean, the names that follow these experiences, Young Thug, Lil Baby, like, these are. I mean, these are
sometimes huge, I forget. Man. I'm like, damn, that's right. I did work with Lil Baby and these guys. I think the thing for me is, you know, kind of like what we were saying before of how music and just, you know, this constant struggle of always, you know, trying to expand and get better. And the biggest thing for me is, as an artist, right? Like, it's really saturated. There's so many artists trying to make it. I mean, they said there's like 40 million songs uploaded on Spotify like a day or some crazy shit. And so editing was almost unexpected for me. Like, I had started editing my own music videos just based off the fact that, you know, Philly was busy and I wanted to be able to pick my facial expressions and hand movements. And, you know, so I started learning how to edit my own videos. And it got to a point where Philly was like, yo, you're pretty dope at this. Like, you want to come make some money with me and you can travel with me and we can, you know, work with other artists. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so editing kind of gave me a way to get my foot in the door. And it for it to be a more of an organic approach, right? Like, here's the problem, right? So I got Philly around me. I got my guy Randala around me who does photos. I got my guy B Scott around me who produces, makes beats, songwrites. And so one of the biggest struggles for me, like if I'm just being completely honest, is when we would go places, like those guys were able to provide immediate value, right? Like everybody needs a video. Everybody needs photos, whether it's an artist, a singer, a business. Like not everybody, but a lot of people need beats, you know, for things. But what a lot of people didn't need is another artist.
Yeah.
Because it's like, there's so many of us. So editing was able to give me a sense of being able to really get in here good with these people. Because if I just go up to, you know, T.I. and I'm like, hey, bro, check out my music, he's going to be like, bro, fuck off.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but like when I'm doing the edits on his TV show or his movie, now me and him instantly are connecting. And then it organically comes up like they don't even know I do music until, you know, we're working together and they're like, oh, damn. You got music out? Oh, you just did a song with Sean Kingston? Like, damn.
Yeah.
And then it's more of like an organic relationship than me having to try to pitch myself as the next big artist or whatever. So editing is really what kind of got me to be in the mix with these guys more. And it's a nice situation because I'm able to travel with Philly. We meet all these big artists.
Man, you've been to Dubai. I've seen you, man, in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, shout out to Mocha Blast. You know, we went a lot of these places with him.
Didn't you film an on-spot video last minute there?
That sounds like all of our videos. Like, I mean, bro, it's crazy. Like, we've shot videos in Colombia, Dubai. I got a video, Portugal, Morocco, Turkey twice, Hawaii. I mean, I've been all around the world off of music and, you know, editing and helping shoot. So, I mean, it's been it's nice because it's all intertwined. You know, it's not like I got to go do a whole separate job, you know, to make a living. Like, I can stay in this industry and kind of do both. So it's like, we got a new movie coming out. By the time you see this interview, it'll probably be out. Yeah. And it was so dope for me because it was like a triple threat or almost like a quadruple threat. I was able to edit. You know, I did the rough edit. I was assistant editor, put all the scenes together, synced audio, backed up files. Then I acted in it. You know, I was in the acting. And then they used my music on the soundtrack, you know, so I can still play the artist card and have music in there. And then I'm also part owner of it. So it's like, it was like 4 whammies in one, you know. So, you know, that's been a blessing. And I think that's kind of really what the next level is going to be, you know, movies and music.
Through these experiences, what has been your favorite project?
My favorite project, I mean, if we're speaking musically, or are we talking about like videos that I've helped edit for other people?
No, across the board. What was one that you personally had your hands in, involved?
I think out of all the stuff that I've done, me personally, like as an artist, I would say my song Got It Next with Lil Saucy, another Milwaukee artist, was one of my favorite projects just as far as recording the song. And, you know, we had to remake the beat. That was dope. Like, a lot of times that's not a good thing, right? Like, oh, the beat's sold and you got to remake the beat. But in this case, I had my guy B Scott do it in Crystal Knives, and they remade this, bro, and it was a banger. And we brought Lil Saucy in, and we went and shot the music video at a military museum right on the border of Wisconsin and Illinois. And it was only like $50 to rent this whole place out. I'm talking like tanks and choppers and like the whole.
Yeah, okay. Now I know what. Yep. Now I know what you're talking about.
Everybody's driven past this place on the freeway. Yeah. So, you know, when I seen that video, I was just like, damn. And with the new beat, and then Lil Saucy came in and just killed it, like literally murdered it. And I mean, that's one of my favorite projects to this day, you know, that I've ever done. Man,
well, you know, it's amazing. It's amazing where talent will take you. I mean, I could definitely relate. Like, I haven't traveled the world yet.
Oh, you're getting there.
Yeah, but
you're getting there.
You know, where I've been able to get my foot in these doors has been like the best reward. And it's always the story, because everyone has their different stories, and it's just amazing the insight.
Nothing is easy.
Nothing is easy. And you know, when I try talking to people, I try telling them, like, it's kind of how you said earlier. You have to love this. You have to want this. You have to breathe it.
Yeah.
Because most people, once they get to their first wall, it's just like,
they're like, all right, I'm
gone.
It's like, nah, you gotta figure it out. And even I used to struggle with that too. Like, there'd be certain things where I'd hit a roadblock or an obstacle and I'd just be dead in the water on that specific thing. And it's like, you gotta find a way to maneuver past it or come up with an alternative, or, you know, otherwise it's just, the execution is really what it's all about. Like, everybody's got a million amazing ideas and amazing songs and amazing plans, but it's like, if you don't execute it and really like put a driving force behind it, like, it's gonna fizzle out. That's it.
Well, you know, you rep Milwaukee proudly.
Appreciate it.
And, you know, we have love for Corey Pieper.
Man,
you did
that.
You did the halftime at the Milwaukee Bucks. Wasn't it the winning season? Wasn't it the championship season?
We played Toronto Raptors that game.
Yeah. Forget the Toronto.
The Drake curse.
The Drake curse.
So it was an unreal feeling. You know, I used to go to Bucks games as a kid and watch like Michael Redd and Glenn Robinson, Sam Cassell, like Tim Thomas, and to be center court, literally, like with my songs playing and the whole crowd like tapped in, was an unreal feeling. So yeah, that was definitely one of the biggest highlights. Well,
it goes even further. I mean, let's take it to your homeland.
Yeah,
you know
Hawaii.
What I mean? Where the roots. You co-headlined with
G-Eazy.
G-Eazy.
Yeah.
What? How? First off, how did that come about? And two, just, I mean, I'm a big fan of G-Eazy. That man is just a beast. He's a beast.
So the G-Eazy show, this is another interesting story. So one of Philly's guys was actually the promoter for that show. So he had reached out to let us know, like, you know, we got an opening slot. If your guy wants it, if Corey wants it, he can open up for G-Eazy. And it was just me and G-Eazy. Like, there were, you know, sometimes you go to shows and there's like 20 people opening up and like multiple co-headliners and headliners. It was literally just me and him. So for me, this was a huge deal. You know, like to go back to my family roots in Hawaii, open up for G-Eazy. But what's so funny, right, is the show went good. The show went great. But there was a moment in the show where I forgot my lyrics. And it was like, I've never had that happen to me ever.
Yeah.
And, you know, so the reason it happened was I was writing this verse, right? I was in the hotel room and I was rapping this verse. And Philly's like, bro, that's cold. Like, you should do it just like that on stage. And normally I know better, right? Like, I know what I do and what's a part of my show and what's not a part of my show. Yeah. And I was like, I ain't scared. I was like, all right, I'll do it. I'll try it. And so literally I remember I'm on stage and I'm like, all right, I start this little freestyle rap. I get like 4 bars in, right? Like the first couple lines, everyone was like, oh, damn, like he's killing me. And then like 4 lines in, I just drew a blank. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, I've never experienced this moment. I got 4,000 people staring at me, like just waiting for me to say something. And I was like a deer in headlights because I never, you know. And like, I'm not always the smoothest like GQ dude, right? So like, I could have played it off. Like a lot of artists have messed up and they just play it off, you know? I was literally like, oh, my bad, guys. I'm sorry. I just wrote this on the way in. Like, I like had a full-blown apology to the crowd.
My boy.
Of like, you know, I felt bad. I'm like, damn. So I literally, in my head, I'm like, no, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to back down. So I restarted the rap, right? I'm like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get through it. I seen it like as a movie scene, like I'm going to overcome it and the crowd's going to go crazy and it's going to all work out. Bro, I started over. I draw a blank in the same part, in the same exact spot, dude. 4 lines in, drew a blank. I just had to go to the next song. And it was like, bro, that moment ate me alive for the longest time. But what it taught me was, you know, I was so used to the Summerfest shows where, you know, I would come in and that crowd just like goes crazy no matter what you say or what you do. Like they would just, you know, Summerfest was a different beast. So I wasn't as prepared for that G-Eazy show as I should have been.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like a big wake-up call for me. And I was like, okay, I can't just wing these shows anymore. Like I need to actually rehearse this. I need to have a plan. That's when I grabbed GA. He DJs for me, like all my shows. You know, I got my guy Tim who plays the drums for me. And that's when I really took my shows to like the next level. And I was like, all right, I can't do this no more.
I'll tell you, like the editor of the show, Stephen Van Plu, he's family to me, but he's really taught me how to be organized.
Yeah, it's big.
And that's a big thing. You know, that type of moment teaches you who you are.
Yeah.
You know, are you gonna quit? Are you gonna stop on stage, or are you gonna, you know, persevere?
You went back home and cried myself to sleep, like, oh, I messed up the Jeezy show, but it's like, nah, I came back bigger and better, and the next show I was like, that ain't happening again.
Yeah, well, that hasn't stopped you because you've come across platforms like MTV, BET, Bravo, Nickelodeon. That type of exposure. How has that impacted your life?
So I'm gonna be honest, right? I think those credentials at first glance has, you know, been a big help to me. Like when somebody's like, oh, he was on MTV, BET, Bravo, they're like, oh damn, he's legit. You know, so I think it gave me some credibility at first glance. But I also think too, like, it doesn't always like do what people think. Like just because your music or your video is played on MTV or these stations doesn't mean immediately you're blowing up. You know, like even with those credentials, like I still had to grind. I still had to get it. But I definitely think on paper, you know, people love credentials and love to, you know, so in that sense, yeah, I mean, it was amazing. I think people started taking me serious more and they were just like, oh yeah, this kid's legit.
Well, this has led into big time collaborations with people like Sean Kingston.
Yeah, Sean Kingston.
Let's talk about that, man. Your video or your song that came along with it.
Yeah, it's almost the songs. I think collectively that boy is almost at like 4 or 5 million streams between the original, the remix, the video. Yeah, I mean that's my biggest record for sure. Yeah. And it was dope because so when I made that first song, what I was talking about earlier, when we went to Hawaii and Philly shot the video, when I was in the studio, my guy JB, he's a producer and DJ from the city. Shout out JB one time. He produced my first album. And I remember when I was in the studio, I literally was playing Sean Kingston records. And I'm like, yo, this is kind of the vibe that I want for me and my sound and the island mixed with a little bit of rap and, you know. Yeah. So for me to then fast forward, you know, 10 years and have a song with Sean Kingston was crazy.
Isn't that manifestation crazy?
I couldn't believe it. And don't get me wrong, it was a rough process a little bit in certain ways. Like it took 2 years to get that song done. Yeah. You know, I had hit Sean on an Instagram DM. He hit me back right away, I was like, damn. I'm like, I turned to my girl. I'm like, yo, I'm talking to Sean Kingston right now. Like, because you got to understand, like, this is Justin Bieber, Sean Kingston, and like Nicki Minaj, Sean, like he's got records with the biggest people, like the biggest pop stars, and we're talking like millions, probably billions of streams and views, you know, and so to be communicating with him was already like had my head spinning. I was like, damn, this is dope. So, but the thing is, you got to understand, like when you're dealing with an artist that's on that level and like of that caliber, like it can be tricky sometimes. It's not just like, you know, when you do a feature with your buddy and he pulls up and you guys rap the song together and then you put it out and everything's all great. Like, you know, it was tough just kind of dealing with his schedule and you know, like the things that he's got all kinds of things going on, you know? So I had sent him, well, this is another crazy thing. The computer crashed, right? So we had cut this demo and we sent Sean 3 records, 3 different options, and, you know, pick whichever one you like the best. And so the one that he picked, when I went to go back and, like, get the files and stuff situated, because I had to send him the instrumental for him to record on it, the computer crashed. And I'm like, oh, God. Oh, God. All the files were gone. So we had to like rebuild that loop. It started like, I'll play the original for you. It was a real basic, broken down, like acoustic version of almost like just this loop, you know? And so we had to re-chop the loop. And so we sent it to him. And, you know, after we had gotten the vocals back, like, then we had to rebuild the beat. And when, you know, over at N43 Records, my guy Steve and Tim, they helped build that beat up. And I remember getting a call from Steve, and he was like, yo, this is kind of like, it's not matching up on the grid. It's almost like the BPM changes. And I think that's because we had chopped that loop to send to Sean so that he could record his parts, you know? So somehow along the way, some got off timing wise, and then they were having an issue, and it was just like, oh man. And like I said, the song took 2 years. So I had did the business with Sean, and then it was like a waiting game, right? So like every week I'm checking in. Hey Sean, how you doing? You know, any progress on the track? And, you know, I keep checking in. And after 2 years, it's crazy because a lot of people would have been like, bro, it's not happening. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not going to send it back. Like, just give up. And I was so frustrated. I'm like, no, it's cool. I'm going to keep it professional. I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to just keep checking in. And no lie, after 2 years, all of a sudden I get a text or a email or whatever it was at like 6 in the morning. And it's like, yo, the record's done. The files are in your email. So it's like 6 a.m. in the morning. I'm in the dining room, right? Everybody in my house is sleeping, my girl, the kids. And I'm jamming this Sean King. Bro, I'm crying. I'm like, oh my God.
I did it.
We got the record. And like the thing is too, like, you know, it was frustrating to wait 2 years, but like Sean sang his ass off on this hook. Like, he didn't just go in there and cut whatever.
Exactly, because there's a lot of artists that do that, man.
Absolutely.
I've heard the stories.
Yeah, I've heard stories too. So it's like, I mean, he gave me signature Sean Kingston with the melodies and the harmonies and the ad-libs and the quality. And, you know, when it was all said and done, I mean, it's a hit record. You know, and it's my biggest record, you know, to this day.
Man, well, you got other hits.
I got some other hits, definitely.
You got MIA.
Yeah, MIA. Shout out to Wisco YD.
You got Pineapple Express.
Shout out Portugal.
Okay, yeah. See, people, this ain't no lie.
Bro, this ain't no.
And which one you dropping soon?
So I got one with Cap G.
Cap G.
Called All Makes Sense. I think that's gonna be a big record for us. It's a little bit more like motivational. I mean, it's not like corny motivational though. It's like, you know, still got that sound to it. And I got this one called Cafe Con Leche. Actually, that Philly helped write. You know, he had sent me a little. Bro, you should hear the voice memos that he be sending me singing. Dog. He's got the little auto tune on his app, on his phone app. Dude. He be sending me the craziest voice memos. But like literally, no lie, the second he sent it, there was a little melody that he did in there, and I was like, "Ooh, that's a hit."
That's right there.
I went to the studio and I just built on it, and then, you know, we put verses on it, and I've been excited to drop that one for a while. So yeah, probably those two are gonna be the next ones coming. But I'm working on a full length album though too. Yeah. I think it's time to you know, drop an album. I've been doing a lot of singles for a long time, just because I feel like with social media and people's attention spans nowadays, like I didn't want to give them something that was too long and then shit gets skipped over or missed and, you know, lost in the sauce. I feel like when you do singles and videos, it's kind of like boom, boom, boom. Yeah. But now I think, you know, just where I'm at in my life and with how much music I've built up in my catalog, you know, I want to do a full-length album. So
that's beautiful, man. And those are those steps. I mean, as it comes, you know what I mean? I felt like since I've been on this journey, you know, things have fallen into place. And that comes with the hard dedication that I put into this. You know, a big thing for me is that I do this, and I want my children to watch this. And you have a son. You have your mini me.
Yep. So we got two kids. I got my son and then my stepson.
Yeah.
And man, they're growing right now.
Yeah. I saw you at Anthony Pettis' fight. Not this last fight, but the one before.
Yeah, I had my son Leland there with me.
And what is that like? I mean, fatherhood, you're traveling, you're doing all these things, but he gets to see the success of that. What is it like for you?
I mean, I think it's been great, and there's aspects of it that are tough. You know, I think the great thing is that the kids get to see my work ethic, you know, and they get to see me moving and grooving and making it happen and not backing down. And I definitely think they pick up on that. You know, just seeing me every day, always getting to it, and they're starting to learn different ways to like network and how to you know, brand themselves. And like, cause I tell people, like, it's not about talent. Like, you could have the best talent, but there's other kids that are talented too. Like, you need to see yourself almost as a business or a brand. And
For sure.
there's a lot of dope little things that they pick up on. I would say, like, if I'm just being honest too, like, you know, the struggle of being an artist sometimes is tough just to provide that stability for them, you know, like, because I'm always coming and going. I'm hopping on a flight. I'm coming back home, you know. So there's moments that sometimes I miss because we're traveling or we're working, you know. And, you know, even though they know that I'm out there working and getting to it and doing it for them, like, that still takes a toll on me sometimes, you know, because I like to be at every basketball game, every baseball game, like pick up from school, drop off at school. Like, I'm very, like, when I get home, I go crazy. You know, we're doing like every event, we're doing, you know, everything we can to spend that time because I know, hey, I might have to leave next week. We might got more jobs or, you know, whatever the case may be. So I think it's been, you know, it's been great.
Oh, man. Well, from what I've seen, you know what I mean? Like, running into you, seeing it personally, you do seem like a great father, and I just want to commend you on that.
Appreciate that.
Man. Well, you know, through this, I mean, you've already had success. Where do you see yourself in the next 5?
I think, you know, I think like I mentioned earlier, the movies is really going to be a next big chapter for us the next few years. Just because, well, let's talk about the one we just shot, a movie called Soul, with Traded Truth, rapper in Houston. And it's dope. I'm excited. It's dropping any day, like literally any day. And just to see, you know, the dope thing about movies is it's really like music videos, but on a bigger scale. Yeah. You know, you're still filming. It's still, you know, talent, cast, wardrobe, makeup, like, you know, syncing audio clips, cutting scenes up. I mean, it's literally the same thing, just on a bigger level. So I think we're about to be some heavy hitters in the movie industry. And you know, Philly's on it. He's going crazy. And that's always been a big thing for him, is he's wanted to tap into this. And, you know, with the editing and the fact that I can supply music and I can act, you know, I think that's going to be kind of where we're at here moving forward. But I've been doing a lot of stuff with sync libraries too. Okay. So I just got accepted in a couple of those, and those are basically companies that supply music for TV shows, film, video games, ESPN.
Get it, Corey?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's...
Go.
Yeah, bro. So that's kind of like another, you know, thing that's in the background, just cooking. Yeah. Just, you know, if you can get a couple songs approved in there and they start getting placed, and that's royalty checks, you know, coming forever. So, you know, that's kind of where it's at right now.
Man, I love it, man. I love, you know, that's the one thing, what I love about doing what I'm doing is like, I get to see the success, and this just tells me in my head where I can take where I'm going. Yeah. You know, I have my own lane. You have your own lane. You know, you've made this branding, you know what I mean? You've been consistent with it, and it sticks now. You know, when you throw a post up, you got 300 plus people liking it, so many comments, or you throw a video up, you have thousands upon thousands of views, millions of views already. You know, that's big. That's big, especially for the kids that are watching this unravel.
Just to know that it's possible. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So what advice would you give to aspiring artists?
I would say, you know, just don't take things, you know, when you have obstacles or when you have, you know, drawbacks and things like that, I think just you got to stay consistent. You can't get discouraged. You need to pick an industry or something that you really love. You know, and also too, I think, like, you know, don't burn your bridges. That's a big one that a lot of people, I don't think, you know, it's underrated little trait to have. Like, you never know what situation you're going to be in, you know, where somebody might need your help or you might need somebody else's help. And, you know, I've seen way too many talented people blow up or say some wild off the wall shit, you know, and then it screws them over in the future, because now you just cut off a whole bunch of people that you could have potentially done business with down the road, you know, because things are always changing. People's situations are changing. So you never know when you're going to run into somebody or when you're going to, you know, business might make sense to collaborate with somebody else. But it's like if you were bad-mouthing them 5 years ago, it's out of there.
Yeah.
You know, so I think just having self-awareness of how you move and how you carry yourself, you know, and just taking that serious.
Well, man, you know, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Appreciate you.
I really feel it's important that you did come on, because this has been a long time coming.
Yeah.
This has been a long time coming, but I felt like your presence on the platform says so much more. I've had many big names, you know what I mean? Like many great names that have come on here, but with your story, I mean, we're damn near the same age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
1 year apart.
And the way I see it is like looking at your success and over the years of your consistency, aspiring to be like that. I want you to know I'm a fan of your music. I also want you to know you represent this city and I'm proud to say that. So keep driving with that, dog, man.
Absolutely. You too, man. Shout out to you one time. Hey, hit the little button for yourself one time. You know, just stick with it, bro. You've been killing it. Every interview that I've watched is dope because I've learned something, you know, from these guests that you have, or just different perspectives and ways of looking at things. And I think that's really big, you know, like you said, for the younger kids and just the people watching and people that, you know, need a little help or want to soak up this game. You know, the best way is to just learn from people that are in it and doing it. And, you know, that's what your platform provides, you know. Everybody is able to tell their story and kind of what worked for them and what didn't work for them. And then people can kind of use that and take bits and pieces that work for their life and their situation. And, you know, it's great. The city definitely needs it.
Yeah, man. I feel like our city, especially now, like we're in this bubble that's about to pop. And,
it's about to pop.
And for real, like with talents like you, it's just as inspiring. And this is what drives me. This is what tells me like it's possible.
Definitely.
So again, I appreciate you coming on. And with that being said, Spearhead out.